Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, greenhome.com, Amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey you, podcast listener. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Go. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We have with us today a returning guest, Jody Williams, from the organization called Sex Workers Anonymous. Jody is an advocate for, she's an ex-madam, so she knows everybody. She knows like Heidi Fleiss and Jennifer Palfrey. And she knows everybody. Dennis Hoff. We've had her on several times. She's really in the know on these topics here. And she runs sexworkersanonymous.net right now, trying to rescue women who are victims of sex trafficking. So, Jody Williams, you're there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you remind the audience who is Jody Williams?
Yeah, briefly. I mean, I was a madam back in the day, in the 80s in Los Angeles, which was also during Iran-Contra, which is how I kind of became aware of the bigger picture on prostitution, involved with our government. Because in '84, they came down on all of us. You can see that if you go on Google. You'll see every madam in the country got busted, our assets seized, et cetera. So that's how I got nicknamed the high-tech madam, is when they busted me, which was a false arrest. They found a lot of computer surveillance equipment, et cetera, which is because I'd set up the first screening service trying to provide security for us. And then, they put me on probation, so I decided to go straight and realized how difficult that was to go straight. And that's why I set up the hotline in the group, the 12-step group, Sex Workers Anonymous. I thought, if addicts are getting out of jail by going to treatment, why can't we get the same option? But then there wasn't any option, so we set it up. And that's how we got started, doing what we do.
Okay. Now, we're just talking off the air for like a good 20 minutes because there's so much going on. You have so much information. One thing I've always wanted the audience to know about is a local case, this Shane Valentine case. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll try, but, it's hard without giving context or background,
Okay.
So this is what I was trying to say, to put it into a context or background so that, like how I perceive it in a sense, because all of this goes back, in my opinion, to the 2007. It was a very pivotal point in time with the Operation Dollhouse case. And what that was the first time that money was coming out to aid trafficking victims. And, the Salvation Army came to me and said, we've got so much money we want to allot to Nevada, and we want you to help Nevada trafficking victims. And I spoke to the representative and said, I hope you're aware of one thing, because they also told me they could not get anyone else but me to work in Nevada. And that's kind of why they were stuck with me, ha, 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 And I said, well, the reason why you're stuck with me and why nobody else will work in the trafficking area in Nevada is because, you are aware that if I'm helping trafficking victims in Nevada, that means that I'm going to be going up against judges and, city council and metro officers and sheriffs, et cetera. So, you need to be prepared for that. And they we're like, well, we don't believe you. Prove it. And I said, okay, I'll prove it. Have your guys at this address on this date. I said, there will be San Mateo sheriffs making a drop, as part of a national network of, trafficking that's going on. And you'll catch your guys and, get the women out of there who cannot get out of that house any other way. And you'll have your rescue, and, it'll prove that we need to change the system. Because currently the system is working with the police. However, that's not getting the women that are under the police out of this system. So that's why the police bring them in and they don't say anything and they won't cooperate. It's because they know the people trafficking are sitting right there in the office with them. So part of that whole thing with Operation Dollhouse was that was the first time trafficking victims were supposed to be brought not to the police station but to a separate location. So those victims were brought to the Salvation Army. Now, I was literally on my way down to the Salvation Army to meet these women, thinking that we're kicking off this big program and this big change, yada, yada. Next thing I know, I'm getting there and I'm being told that the women have literally been sent back home and this thing's being buried under the rug. I did not expect. I found out that Metro had cut a check for $370,000 to the Salvation Army to, quote-unquote, restructure their program, which meant get rid of me, act like you don't know me, and bury this under the rug. So in my opinion, Salvation Army sold out those women, including a pregnant juvenile, because there was a pregnant juvenile in those women that they rescued that day. Now, as part of burying me and, trying to make the whole thing go away, they had to sort of replace me because there'd been all the, money had just been given, almost $1 million grant had just been given in Nevada to set up a trafficking program. Well, what are they going to do now that they've gotten rid of me and are acting like they don't know me? Well, they grabbed this Annie Lambert, who's got the IQ of a Pomeranian, and will basically do anything you tell her to do as long as you give her a check at the end of the thing. And, she runs this thing called Hookers for Jesus. She'll do anything for fundraising that you tell her to do. and, got her to be like the so-called survivor of the program when she was never trafficked a day in her life. But again, she just does what she's told to do.
Hey, can I interrupt you there for a second?
They brought in Chris Ballman.
Can I interrupt you there for a second? Because I saw Annie one night on the news walking up and down the strip with a news crew saying, we're here looking for women who possibly could be trafficked so we can rescue them. And I
know, it's hysterically funny, isn't it?
And wait,
my God, laughing when I saw this.
And I had a heart attack. I had a heart attack, and I sent her a message, and to the news station, and I says, hey, I got a girl right here who has a mental illness, who's being pimped out on the street, and we're trying to desperately, every time she comes into contact with the police, she gets arrested. Can you help her? I found one for you.
What did she say? I'm dying to hear.
You know what? It was definitely no help. It was definitely no, hey, send her over. None of that. And people know what the hell I went through trying to get help for that kid. She's dead today. And people know what I went through here.
Oh, my God. I wish you and I had known each other because I'll tell you what, I just got a call. See, I think this has to do with the attack on my door the other day because I gotten a call from a USA Today reporter asking me about Annie Lambert, and I'm like, why? Because when she got caught in that whole bankruptcy scandal and ran off to Africa, I thought pretty much everybody knew she was full of shit, and evidently, somebody had gotten a $2 million grant that was a legitimate program for trafficking victims, and then they yanked it away and gave it to Annie. So this reporter is saying that there's a lot of people in Washington really upset by this and wanting to know what I know about it. And I said, well, if you ask me, again, from past experience, remembering 2007, is they put Annie Lambert in charge of things when they want a face on something that doesn't ask questions. Yeah. So obviously, so she said she's looking for people that have had experience with her. I'll have her give you a call, to verify that she doesn't do anything. It's all fluff. She puts on a show, but she doesn't actually, help anyone.
Yeah, there's no shortage of victims out there that you need to walk up and down with a news crew on the strip looking for victims. It's no shortage of people who are looking for help in this town. You can just stand out in front of the jail when they're releasing people at 3 a.m. and come across 10 girls a day who are in crisis looking for help. Anyway, so...
Well, you know what her game is? She promises that she's going to help them. She takes them to her church. She parades them in front of the church, gets the churchgoers to cut checks, and then she cuts them loose and says, God will provide. They wind up on my doorstep, and I'm the one having to actually take care of them because, she's, promised them help. They don't know what's going on, and that's why, I've gone to lawyers researching what I can do about this because I keep winding up with people that she's promised to help, and I go to her and I'm like, look, you're getting all this money, but I'm doing all the work here. Something's got to give. She just, completely cuts me off and won't speak to me, and it's pissing me off, frankly,
Well, let's not get too distracted on Annie. Where else were we? Because there's a lot more involved in all this than just her.
Oh, well, they also brought in Chris Ballman, the Metro cop at that time, and he became the new, poster child of sex trafficking that they promoted to cover up my absence, which I give a lot of credit to George Knapp. Because George Knapp was like, what is, because he saw the quick shift of burying me and bringing in Chris Ballman and Annie Lambert, so he started investigating. And, and of course at the time, me talking about this national ring of cops and sheriffs involved in pimping women and drugs, sounded completely insane. And of course the rumor was Jody's just paranoid and lost her mind, right? That's what everybody was saying at the time. She's just lost her mind. Well, George went out and started investigating and knocking on doors. And I had mentioned to him how suspicious this grant was that went to the Olympic Gardens strip club. Why on earth would Las Vegas give $50,000 to a strip club to buy a new sign? And this, mind you, was the same city council that I'd gone to, and I'd asked for money for an interpreter so that I could go in, to more of these massage parlors where women don't speak English. And, try to get them some help because I don't speak Mandarin or Korean, and I need some help translating. So, I asked them, for a grant to get a translator to come in with me and a police